All right. Hey, beautiful souls. This is Christine Potvin, the Paladina, and we have a really very lovely episode today. I'm here with Jim Burton, okay? And Jim, we were just talking about this because this is pretty interesting. Um, you were just saying to me how you've been doing in terms of health, right? For health and
Yes.
fitness. This would have to do with powerlifting, or is it called powerlifting or is it mainly deadlifting when they talk
Well,
about it?
there's three lifts in powerlifting. There's the squat,
Okay,
bench press, and deadlift.
okay.
And I've got a really bad shoulder, so
Mm-hmm,
I can't bench press anymore.
mm-hmm.
And I can't squat because it throws my back out, but I can deadlift.
Okay,
And so in powerlifting meet, you can do a full meet, which is all three lifts, or you know, a combination of it, or just one. And so I specialize in the deadlift.
okay. You specialize in the deadlift. Now, we were just commenting because now Jim has several social media links, channels that he has with his videos on deadlifting and powerlifting,
Right.
but mainly deadlifting, right?
Right.
From what you're saying, right? Okay.
Yes, but I try to include all kinds of lifting exercises to show people.
Okay, all right. And what's really wonderful, because you guys know I'm a naturopathic teacher with toxins and how to safely detoxify with natural elements, learned from Dr. Stanninger and some other wonderful colleagues over the years, but mainly Dr. Hildegard Stanninger that you guys are familiar with. And what's really wonderful is that Jim holds world records, but mainly this is really key. The World Natural Powerlifting Federation, WNPF. And Jim, give us a little bit of history on them, because this wasn't an organization that's been around forever, right? This is
No, they've been around a long time. Powerlifting got popular in the 60s.
okay.
Troy Ford runs the WNPF, and geez, I remember competing back when I was, in the 80s.
Oh, wow.
So I don't know how long Troy's been around. I think they've been around close to 50 years or something.
Oh, 50 years.
I don't
Okay.
know. They've been around a while. Troy's
Okay.
not that old of a guy, so maybe it's not been 50 years, but it's been a long time.
Okay.
And back then I was just doing bench press.
Okay.
And
Is it like at the heaviest bench press you can do,
right,
right?
right.
Okay.
Bench
All right.
press is when you're laying down, you
Right.
press it up.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
So I was doing it back then when I lived in New Jersey, and then I stopped because my shoulders started getting real bad.
Mhm.
And then I moved down here and I started deadlifting just to work my legs because I can't squat. And all of a sudden I got pretty strong at it, and I decided to compete again.
Mhm.
There's probably 100 or 200 federations out there.
Okay.
The WNPF is the only one that I will compete in because I believe they're the only one that is adamant about having their lifters drug free.
Okay. And drug free is
The steroids.
no steroids. Okay,
Right.
that's very key.
Yes.
But no recreational drug use either, pretty much, right? Or
I
there.
don't know. I've never done either. So
There you go.
I know is Troy doesn't want guys doing the steroids. Your
Right.
three levels have got to be in normal range.
Right. Gotcha. Okay, that's wonderful, because when I did bodybuilding to build myself up, because I'm a naturopathic person, no steroids or anything. So, so when did this? Now, this is really, really great. You guys will be seeing this. We're gonna be showing this 460 pounds, right?
Yes.
At 75 years old. This is 2 years ago, and this is a record held not only with the World Natural Powerlifting Federation, it's held with a few other.
Well, it's just it only counts in my federation, but there's a website called openpowerlifting.org, and they get the results from all of the powerlifting federations.
Okay.
And then they rank you, and they, it's by age. They've got age groups and weight classes.
Mhm.
So that 460 I did was the top deadlift in the world for all the federations that year
Wow.
for my age group and weight class.
Okay. Wow. That's really, and this record still stands right now, right?
Well, it was just for that year.
Okay.
At the time, that was the third highest of all time.
Okay.
I haven't checked recently to see if I'm still at number 3 or not, but
Mhm.
it was right up there with the
Mhm.
best.
Mhm. And folks, Jim is 77 now, okay? And this is just really incredible. He's on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, and his we can actually just show it at Jim's Deadlift Dungeon. Jim's Deadlift Dungeon is the name of your channels, right?
Yes, of my page, channels, whatever you want to
Yes.
call them.
Okay.
Yes.
So definitely check out Jim's Deadlift Dungeon. And your videos are actual training in a sense,
Yeah,
right?
a lot of them are, yes. And I'm not able to lift as much as I used to because a month after I did that 460, I went into heart failure. I hope my cardiologist isn't going to see this video because he told me not to lift anything over 10 pounds. So I'm still working out, but my weights are down. I just did 345 this past Wednesday.
Oh, wow.
So, and I'm going to be competing again next year as soon as they bring some meets down here to Florida.
Now, what's interesting that you said that. Now, I know from having because gallbladders, I don't know if you know, this is another like thing that some people don't know, is that 50% of the whole world population gets gallstones, right? To the point where it's going to bother your gallbladder, and gallbladders may need to be pulled out. Now, for 50% of the population, it's not a big deal. The stones are so small, gallbladders stay fine. I actually had to have mine pulled out because the stones got too big. Yeah, right. And this is back in April of 2012. All right, that this happened. And so what's interesting is that when that happens, and they do it left, they do it very low invasive right now, right? When it's pulled out, you're told, because obviously abdominal muscles and other things, you're told not to lift more than 10 pounds, right? To strain yourself, right? So it's interesting, your cardiologist, you have a major heart issue, right?
Yeah.
And he says, oh, don't lift anything more than 10 pounds. But
yeah, that must be their standard answer.
I mean, at the same time, your heart muscles do heal, so you can start doing it again. Like and you're just proving that.
Yeah.
You started to then.
Yeah, I had to start slow.
Right.
And I had to, I made sure I did it smart. When I first started working out again after the heart failure, I couldn't even get through a whole workout. But as soon as I felt like the gas tank was empty and there was nothing left, I just stopped working out. I wasn't going to push myself, and I've gotten back now where I can get through a whole workout. But like I said, my weights are down, but my goal is to get my deadlifts back up over 400 pounds.
Oh, sure. I mean, you can definitely do it. Just have to go, as you said, you got to work back up to it.
Yep, I'll be deadlifting over 800, I wish. I'll be deadlifting over 400 pounds in my 80s.
There you go.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, there you go. Here on the show first.
That's right.
All right. So Jim, this is actually very inspirational for people especially who are older, that it's certainly never too late to start working out, right?
Exactly. That's what I try to tell people.
Okay.
That's why I started Jim's Deadlift Dungeon, was to mainly just show people, because I get people, I drive Uber in the morning. That's how I met this lovely young lady. And I get so many people that can't even get in and out of the car. And I made up those cards and put in my car these cards.
Yep.
So that
people can be inspired.
Just to start a conversation and just try to show people, to tell people by example that age is just a number. And I know people my age that, you'd think they were 108 instead of 70 something. So I just keep going.
Okay.
little Energizer bunny.
So, and what's really, really very inspirational about Jim is that, and as many of us, I mean, if people know my story about being intentionally poisoned and losing loved ones, like friends that were targeted, because the suspects got angry, and then that obviously there's a lot of grief, there's a lot of upset that gets caused to people. And Jim is also gone through that kind of, grieving and loss as well. Just even in this year, so things are, I'm sure, pretty raw, but this is very inspirational. So, because of what you do, Jim, right? Even just with your own health and what you've done for yourself. Do you want to tell the story of how this, a little bit of about your sons
Sure.
and yeah.
Well, I had two sons, David and Chris, and I've lost both of them within the last 10 months. This November 26th of last year, my older son David committed suicide. He was a fireman, paramedic, and the tragedies and evils he saw on the job just got to be too much for him, and he took his own life. And then March 11th of this year, my younger son Chris died of a drug overdose. He had dealt with addiction problems for the last 10 or 12 years, and he was in and out of rehab forever. And I hate to say it, but it got to be where we weren't wondering if he was ever going to do an overdose. We actually pretty much knew it was just when. And it happened after David. I know he was really upset with David's death. And so I don't know if his was intentional or not, but I know he was really upset about David. And now we're upset about both.
Right, right. And this is Jim's card that he gives to people that I also looked at and picked up because I was very inspired by this as well. And so it's just amazing to have your strength to not only inspire people to not give up on their health, even as they get older, but to not give up on life if there is this kind of, personal loss, especially as a parent.
Yeah, it's tough. I just want to try to tell people that no matter what life throws at you, we've got choices. We can make bad choices like David did and Chris, or we can choose to just, go on and be strong. And that's why I'm trying to spread my story and my son's story so that I can inspire and motivate people to just keep going, keep your head up, and do the best you can.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we're going to take a pause. I'm just going to pause this video for a second, and then we're going to just continue to have a conversation on this very important topic. Okay, just hang on, guys. Okay, all right, guys, we're back. All right, so this is just pretty inspirational. We're back with Jim Burton here. 77. He's a world natural powerlifting. I mean, this 460 pounds still stands as a record, right?
For that year, yeah.
For that year.
Yeah, it was the top deadlift in the world that year.
Okay.
For age group and weight class.
There you go.
Got to specify that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. When let's go back to, as this happened, you went into heart failure like a month after this, July 2023.
Yep.
You did recover. Okay.
Well, from what I've been told, you can't recover from heart failure. Sooner or later, it's going to kill me. That's what they tell me. David told me that. So, well, I
don't believe it.
I got the same attitude you do.
Yeah.
I'm going to prove to people that you can, if you can't totally beat it, you can win the battles for a very long time.
And I just know from my very serious, which I showed you my results of my very serious poisoning, which really caused damage. I mean,
Mhm.
my kidneys were like baseballs. I mean, my liver, everything was the heart. I started having heart pain like a week after, especially that last time that I
Mhm.
showed you 604
Yep,
arsenic,
I remember that.
right? My heart was really in pain a week later. Now I was hitting we were talking about this, the glutathione hard to mitigate that, to mitigate having a heart attack, because I knew I was on the verge of a massive heart attack.
Mhm.
All right. So, and what you have to tell yourself, I don't know if you do this, Jim, is that when you're feeling that pain, especially in the heart,
I don't
you know,
feel any pain.
well, that's good. That's
Yeah,
really good.
that's not what heart failure is.
No, that's not, no, that's true. That's true. But if you are in pain or anything and you feel like that it's a bit more enlarged
Mhm.
or anything like that, and people don't realize this because doctors will tell you, oh, that's that damage, that myocardia, that's permanent. It's really not. I've learned this from Dr. Standinger. So really, your attitude is great because it's, people say, oh, it's going to kill you. I mean, it's just, oh, it's like they say heart failure and it's like, oh, that's you got one foot in the grave or whatever, right?
Yeah, I
Right?
know what to
That's
tell
kind
you.
of like this
Yeah.
attitude. And I'm like, no, I mean, all our organs have the ability to heal. Um,
Well, it has
so,
gotten a little better.
mhm.
Should I explain a little bit about heart failure?
Yes, absolutely.
Basically, heart failure is nothing more than the heart not pumping out enough blood into the body. My son David, who was a fireman paramedic, like I said, he explained it to me better than any doctor did. But when the blood comes back into the heart, it comes into the upper part of the heart, and then it goes down to the bottom part of the heart, and then that's where it pumps back out into the body. And it pumps out 75% of the blood that's in the lower chamber. Every heartbeat, it's pumping out 75%. That's normal. When I was in the hospital and they diagnosed me, mine was below 20.
Oh, wow.
Now it's back up to the 55 to 60 range, but they keep, so I keep working out hard. They keep telling me that, it's never going to get back to normal, but we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, right now I'm winning all the battles.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and I expect to be fighting it for another 20 or 30 years.
Okay. All right. And basically also, Jim, they didn't see any clogged arteries that could be limiting the blood flow or anything,
Not yet.
right?
No.
Okay. Well then, okay.
I was in AFib too, but they got me out of AFib
Mm-hmm.
after I went into heart failure. But
Mm-hmm.
so that's my story.
Okay. Um, the other thing, Jim, that you might have learned regarding what happened with your sons Dave and Chris is, do you think there was anything out there, especially because we were talking about this earlier, about mainstream media or mainstream news that they just automatically believed and that maybe got their thinking maybe a little bit more like for all society? I mean, everybody's, these
Yeah,
commercials and stuff and the
I
news.
honestly don't know.
Okay.
I I do know one thing. Uh, David, David was always a little, this wasn't the first time he tried suicide. And thankfully he wasn't successful the other times. And I told him that if there was going anything he should be bad at, it's doing that. And he was doing really, really good. And I think one of the things that may have started his downward spiral again was the crazy inflation we just went through. Because David had a company, he was a fireman, and he had a company, it was just him, and then he had to bring on some other people, but he was making American flags out of retired fire hose.
Oh, wow.
Now he was getting the fire hose for nothing because he was going to fire departments and everything, and they were giving it to him. But the frame that he put it on and everything in the backdrop, he had to pay for that. And his basic flag, which was 4x5 or something like that, I don't know exactly what it was. He was selling it at one time for $125.
Wow.
When the inflation started going crazy, um, it ended up where within less than a year,
Mhm.
it was costing him $400 just to make the flag that he used to sell for $125.
Oh, wow.
And he had to give it up. And he really, I mean, he was doing really great, and he had he he was planning his whole future with that flag company. I know he was.
Mhm.
And then he had to give it up, and that was one of his biggest dreams. I mean, he had plans of buying a bigger piece of property, having a place for me to live on it, and have a big barn to build the flags and everything. And then inflation killed it.
Mm.
And so I know it was part of what happened to him. And
Okay.
then, like I said, the bad stuff he saw in the job too.
Mhm.
So, but Chris, he just got addicted and just couldn't beat it.
Mm.
So,
So what is so you only recently did these cards, right? With this story, right?
right,
With your inspiration.
right.
And
Well, actually, I'd started them. I don't know. I actually started them before the stuff happened with my boys, because like I said, I just wanted to be able to tell people in the, when I was driving Uber, that, they can make their life better if they want to. Just get up off the couch and do some things.
Mhm.
You don't have to go crazy like I do and try to lift as much as you can, but you should do something. Just get up, walk around, wherever they live, walk around. If you can't do regular push-ups, do them up against the wall.
Yep.
Squat down to a chair. Just simple stuff. And that was my message.
Mm-hmm.
Because actually, I think I'll tell you my story about my buddy Larry.
Okay.
Larry was another power lifter. Larry Bucchiani. It's spelled like it should be pronounced Busciani. And I said that to him, and he says, well, that's the way they used to pronounce it until his father decided they wanted to pronounce it Bucchiani. So Larry and I got to be really, really good friends. We would only see each other at meets. He lived in South Florida. I lived in Central Florida. But we would hang out together at all of these meets. Well, I remember there was a meet in 2017, and I hadn't competed in a year because, I don't know, I got injured a little bit or something. I don't know what it was, but anyway, a lot of guys, they'll ask other people what in powerlifting you get 3 attempts. So with the deadlift, you start with a weight usually that you can do, then you go up another one, and then you go up to the third one. You get 3 attempts. And I did my first two, and my second one was 435 or something like that. And I thought that's all I had in me that day. But something told me to ask Larry what my next attempt should be. And so I did. And Larry looked me right in the eye, and he said, what's your personal record? And I said, 450. And he says, well, I want you to do 455. And then he looked at me even a little harder, and he says, Jim, it's your job to show people that they can still get stronger as they get older. And he says, now, promise me you're going to do that. And I did. I promised him. Well, a year later, Larry died.
Mm.
And I was still trying to get stronger, but I was doing, okay. And then,
And what year was this?
like 18 or something, like 2018,
2018, okay.
18, 19. And I was still working out hard and everything, but my weight was still kind of stuck between 420 and 445. And it was right around COVID.
Mm.
And I was working out. I work out in my garage. And all of a sudden, I just got obsessed with keeping my promise to Larry. And I started getting stronger than I'd ever been. I was stronger in my 70s than I was in my 60s until the heart failure came along. I'd actually deadlifted 480 at 73 in my garage.
There you go.
So, but that was just, keep my promise to my buddy. And that's why I started putting those cards in the car for, just to honor Larry, and then just to show people, be able to tell people my story about that. And then, stuff happened with my boys, and I also want to tell people about that too. That's kind of my therapy.
Mm-hmm. But this is very key because to me also, as I've shown people with, say, cancer, curing cancer,
Mhm.
like the Hoxsey Biomedical cures cancer naturally. And they discovered that 250 years ago. This family, Harry Hoxsey and his grandfather. Well, his grandfather's one who figured it out, right? So what's interesting is they also talk about this in this documentary, and this documentary goes back to 87. All right, and people can see it on my channel, and because YouTube has taken it down, which used to be on there forever until recently, but policing of YouTube. But anyway, they talk about the nurse that now was running it, she's passed away and it's continuing through other people, talks about when people come in that have cancer, the ones that really do get cured, meaning that it never comes back again once they go through the treatment and stuff, are the ones that know that's going to work, that come in with that mindset that says, I'm here to get that medicine, it's not medicine, but it's, plant-based, but I'm here to get that medicine that I know is going to cure me. And the ones that didn't really do well were the ones that came in, well, somebody told me to come in, a family member making me, I don't think it's going to work. That negative attitude. That it's not going to work. I'm not going to heal, blah, 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 blah.
I've got a sign on my wall that says the body achieves the body achieves what the mind believes. And it's true. You've got it. I used to use the example all the time with bench pressing. There's two guys over here. They're both capable of being able to bench press 300 pounds sooner or later. One guy, there's no doubt in his mind that he's going to be able to do it. The other guy is, well, guess who's going to bench press 300 pounds first? The guy over here that believes he can.
Right.
That's why I keep telling myself, I'll be deadlifting 400 pounds again.
So, absolutely.
Yep. Positive thinking.
Just got to build back. I mean, I know from bodybuilding, you've got to build back up to it. Especially if muscles have been atrophied from, like say a broken leg or something.
Yep.
You got to build back up. The muscles have to.
And you got to have the right attitude.
Right.
So we agree on that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Nutrition, talk to her. Strength training, talk to me.
Right. And for toxins and stuff, who to talk to. Because all right, because that plays into health too. I mean, obviously the toxins are going to slow you down, cause heart attacks, all the other things that you don't want to keep yourself healthy. So, but this is really great to have met you.
Yep.
Because also the key is not only sound mind, sound body, right? And not giving up when we've had friends and family, and even, pets, anything taken away from us. We're all here for a reason, right? I always believe that, right?
Yep.
And you have your purpose. With inspiring.
Well, now it's changed, but yes.
Okay. Absolutely. Yeah. This has been, is there anything else you want to inspire? Oh, this is really key, Jim. Remember we were talking about conspiracy theory?
Yes.
People thinking that if someone was a conspiracy theorist, and actually it's the conspiracy theorist that is the one that's dug up the truth and is exposing it, right? Especially with the proof, right? So, what is some advice you can give to younger people who might get fooled by the AI information? Or do you think that people should be doing more research? They should just look at they need to dig a little deeper before they leave like a sentence like, oh, the sky is black or the sky is blue, or you know what I'm saying?
Well, like I told you, I'm not a very tech savvy guy. But yeah, I think AI could become very, very dangerous. And they just you got to watch what they're doing. I don't understand it, but these young kids that are dating an AI figure. I mean, come on, give me a break. You know, that just it's. And then you were telling me a story about the kid that committed suicide
Right,
to
right,
so that he could be with his AI sweetheart.
right.
I mean, it's just you've got to.
But they also, well, not even so much AI, is that we were talking about discernment of, you were saying that a certain family member might believe something they heard, like like a mainstream commercial or a mainstream
Oh yeah,
news thing
yep,
about, let's say, like a COVID shot.
yep,
And then you intuitively would think, nah, that's, I don't
right.
need it, I won't, the
Yes,
same, like it's like an intuition thing, I think, also.
yeah, like yeah. Well,
Common sense,
if
maybe.
you're an NCIS fan, um, Gibbs had it right. You got to go with your gut. I mean, I started realizing things years ago that people are just realizing now. Like what news channels I couldn't trust, that they were giving us a bunch of nonsense, things just didn't add up. I'm not going to name what side I'm on or anything, but you've really got to look at things. And if your gut's telling you something different than you're hearing, try to figure out why.
Mhm.
That's all you can do.
Right.
I'll give you one example, JFK. I was 15 years old the day that happened, and I got home and we're watching the news, and I'm thinking to myself, this stuff doesn't add up. It just doesn't add up. No way Oswald did that by himself or did it at all. And now, let me see, how
Yeah.
am I 60 some years later?
Now we've got a lot coming out about that.
Exactly.
There's a lot
So
of,
that's my one example. You got to question things. You can't just because some person says it, like a movie star or
especially
and
great
then
movie stars.
they're entertainers or something. Just because they say something doesn't mean it's right.
I actually have an example of that I recently saw on YouTube. YouTube, yeah, lovely YouTube, right? There is these commercials because sometimes you're watching a movie or something on
Mm,
YouTube and there's commercials, right? There's a commercial with, and I love these particular actors like Marissa Tomei
mhm,
from like My Cousin Vinny
mhm,
and many other films. She's a wonderful actress. Um, they have her in a commercial about collagen. I don't know if you take it as a supplement. I mean, collagen. Like, and there's different types of collagen now.
yep.
It's a commercial for a certain type of marine, like fish collagen, for
Mhm,
this commercial, right? And of course, they start out and they're like, "Hi, Marissa, you're like 59 years old. You look fantastic. What do you do?" And start talking about. She says, now they have to remember she's paid. Okay, she's a paid actor. All right, in a commercial, right? She's being paid. It's all scripted. But they try to make it look like it's not scripted, but
yep.
it's scripted, right?
Exactly.
Saying that I take marine collagen because that's the closest to our human cells. That's kind of legit. And I said, no, no, that's a lie. Uh, Bovine cow collagen is the closest to human collagen in our bodies. That's why you see a lot of collagen is, bovine cow. And mixed with, it could be fish, it
Right.
could be eggshell membrane. That's great too, right? But no, just to sell that type
Yep.
of collagen. So I absolutely, and it's interesting. It's not just older folks like Jim and me that have that discernment because we have maybe years of experience with learning that or knowing that. It's just also your own gut saying,
Mhm,
I don't know if that's really the case or
yep.
if that's really true.
And that's another thing you want to watch out for is research. Like any kind of like cancer research, anything. A lot of times these people that are doing the research are getting paid by somebody who wants a certain result. Like I had a guy in my Uber car one day, and I don't know if he was telling the truth or not, but he's walking over to my car and he's sucking on one of those vapor
Oh,
smokers or
vapes,
whatever.
yeah.
And he gets in the car and I said, that stuff will kill you. And he says, no, it's not going to kill you. And I said, well, yes, it will. And he says, well, no, I know for a fact it won't, because he says, I own the largest vape company in the world.
Oh, God.
And, whether that was true or not,
Yeah.
I don't know, and I don't
Right.
care.
Right.
But then he goes on to tell me, he says, I've got research that shows that they're safe.
Oh.
He says, I spent $3 million having research done on whether these were safe or not. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, you paid, if you're who you say you are, you paid $3 million for that research team to give you the results you wanted.
Right.
So just be careful. We shouldn't probably have gone over to this conspiracy theory stuff, because her and I could talk about this all day.
But it's interesting you mentioned this, because there's these other channels that have to have commercials. Weather.com, is everybody familiar with the Weather Channel?
Mhm.
Right? Okay, weather.com. And this happened last year. They had a commercial, because again, this is paid advertising now, right? Because they have to post their weather stuff for free. They got to get, some money back to run the website, right?
Mhm.
They had a commercial that said, oh, a study came out from the Mayo Clinic, because I was looking at where this was coming from. And it was trying to say that COVID shots did not cause myocardia, didn't cause this, didn't cause that, blah, 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 which we know this is not really the case, especially the forensic proof we have of heavy metals and other elements in COVID shot formulas. Now, what's interesting is people are going to say, oh, Mayo Clinic, a very trusted name for many, many years. Now, there you go. You know why, and many people don't know this unless you do your research on Mayo Clinic, especially this was coming out for the Mayo Clinic ones in the New York, New Jersey area, because those are where they started, right? Those Mayo Clinics in the New York City area, all 7 to 8 of them, are now all owned by a corporation. Mayo Clinic is not a private research facility anymore, and they haven't been since at least 2013. It's been a while. All right. And so that means that corporation is the one putting out that data that is really not real data, just to create a commercial to say this is data from the Mayo Clinic, trying to convince people CV shots are fine. Go get one. So yeah, that's another example of that. Of not, of being very skeptical and doing a little bit more background. I mean, you actually look that up on the Mayo Clinic of when they were bought out by this corporation. Yes. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, this was a lovely talk with Jim Burton, a fantastic inspiration for all of us. And
thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. And we'll see you guys again soon. Okay?
Yep. Hopefully.
Yes, for sure. Bye.